Right. In our next video, we're going to have a look at what is the role of DNA. So in the last couple of videos, we've had a look at what is DNA, what's it comprised of, where is it housed, and how is it organized. So we had a look at, if I scroll back for a bit, we said that our DNA is like a series of books, and each individual book is called a chromosome. And then each chromosome, each book, has many chapters in it, and each chapter is called a gene. And each gene holds the specific instructions on how to build a single trait or a single characteristic about an organism. And we talked about how humans have anyway, 46 chromosomes organized into 23 pairs. 22 of those pairs, the chromosomes are identical. In the 23rd pair, it's a non-matching pair, and that's what determines, I suppose, whether male or female. But like I said, in this video, we want to start looking at, well, what is the role of DNA? And I suppose DNA really has two roles. And the first role is to replicate itself. So your body is continuously making new cells as you grow, as it repairs itself, as you mature. So the DNA has to replicate itself. And that's what we're going to have a look at in this series of videos. In the next series of videos, we're going to have a look at the other role of DNA, which is provide instructions on how to create the appropriate, I'm just going to call them building materials, which are called proteins. Okay, so DNA essentially has two roles. The first role is to replicate itself, and the second one is it provides the instructions on how to create all the different proteins in our body. And proteins, of which there are many, many different types, are essentially the building materials of an organism. Sort of think of them as like the bricks and the mortar and the timber that goes into building an organism. Okay. Let's have a look at this first role, which is to replicate. So as you grow and mature, and also, if you hurt yourself, if you cut your hand open or something, your body is continuously making new cells. So your body is constantly making new cells. And this means that every time a new cell is made, that new cell has to hold a copy of your genetic code, your DNA. So your DNA has to continuously copy itself. And so in this, I suppose this video and maybe the next, maybe one or two, depending on how we go, we're going to look at how does DNA copy itself? And the second thing that we're going to look at is how different cell types are copied. Now don't sort of think, oh goodness, are we going to have a look at how muscle and nerve and heart and everything other type of cell divides? No. There are two very broad categories. So we're going to have a look at a process called mitosis, and we'll have a look at a process called meiosis. We'll get to them in a sec. All right, so the first thing we want to have a look at, come on, next page, there we go. is how does DNA copy itself? And it goes through, I suppose, a very, very simple process. Let's draw ourselves a DNA ladder. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. So here is our ladder. And let's put in, let's make this a G. Let's use a different color, Mr. Michelin. Let's use blue, because I like blue. G, C, C, T, A, for example. Okay, and then on the opposite side, we would have the corresponding complementary pairs. So see if you can fill in before I do. So maybe pause and see if you can fill in the complementary pairs. All right, so hopefully you paused and had a go. So we should have C, G, G, A, T, and T. So there is our DNA strand. Now, when the DNA goes to copy itself, your DNA sort of unzips like a great big zipper. Okay, so it unzips like a big zipper. So one, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just so we know, we want to imagine that these ones in between here are actually connected together, so we actually have a whole rung in our DNA ladder. So when it unzips, these little pinky bits, they break apart. So we'll put in our G, C, A, C. Do that in a different color because we like to keep things colored here. C, G, G, A, T, T. So your DNA unzips. And with the magic of cut and paste, come on, okay, paste. It's up here. That's about right. No, I didn't want to do that. That's better. Okay. Right, so through the miracle of cut and paste, we have our third diagram. So in step number 3, new bases are brought over. So within the cell, there'll be some bases lying around as the DNA copies. And so what we get is this effect of a C will come over to this G and put itself in place, and then we'll have a G, and then we'll have a G. A C will come to here, a C will come to here, and a G will come to here. And the same thing will happen as this DNA continually starts to unzip. Put another backbone here, another backbone here. So we started with our original DNA strand. It starts to unzip. The corresponding complementary pairs come over to the unzipped sides. And then, as a result, we have two DNA strands. Now, this unzipping process is going to continue the whole way down the DNA chain. So we will end up with 2 DNA strands with a, so D, C, C, T, 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 and then this side, because this one's being built onto over here, we'll also have D, C, C, T, T, A. And this side that's been brought in over here is now this side of this DNA strand. So C, G, G, A, T. And this side over here is our original right-hand side of the DNA strand. So we have C, G, E, A, A, E. So that is how DNA replicates itself. It unzips down the middle. The corresponding complementary pairs are brought over to each side of the DNA, and you end up with two DNA strands. This side over here, this one here, this side over here is this side over here. Those are our original two sides. And then this side over here and this side over here correspond to this one over here and this one over here, which were then bolted on as our original DNA unzipped. So this is how DNA copies itself, and you want to sort of be thinking, oh, hang on, so DNA is broken up into my chromosomes. So when my chromosomes are copying themselves, when the cell divides, which we'll get into it in the next video, this is essentially what is happening, okay? So we've gone through how DNA copies itself, and in the next video, we're going to have a look at the two processes that the different cells undergo to copy themselves. Thank you.